Senator Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a very helpful panel, and I want to turn to a different area. My sense is that the new technologies, the new natural gas vehicle technologies, for example, like the better fuel tanks, can help make natural gas vehicles more practical. But it is not the technology that is hampering the U.S. market for natural gas vehicles. It is the economics of the market. And that is what I'd like to get into with you gentlemen. I mean, particularly the volatility of the U.S. natural gas market, in my view, has scared away some of the long-term investment. And the big question now is whether the breakthrough in shale gas development is going to alter this equation, and whether, in effect, the price advantage of natural gas as a fuel is going to continue, especially when other economic sectors go out and compete for that fuel to produce electricity or provide feedstock for the chemical industry. The natural gas prices today are lower than they have been for years, but no less volatile. So, in effect, the volatility that we've seen in the past, continues. And you see that because prices have risen and have fell over the past year from less to $2 to more than $5 per thousand cubic feet, and that's just over the past 12 months. And I have a considerable concern that tying North American gas prices to the international markets, and this, of course, would happen if you had these LNG construction terminals, export terminals constructed, certainly has the potential to worsen the problem. Because if you think guessing on the future of natural gas prices was a challenge before, add the international competition from companies that are already paying 4 or 5 times as much, and see if the road to stability and predictable natural gas prices, that's really the key to getting these investments smooths out. So I think what I'd like to ask you, Dr. Green, and you, Mr. Ciccio, in your view, what's it going to take in order to get the major players here, businesses and people who are purchasing for fleets and others, to have the confidence that there's going to be a real price advantage which would justify their making the switch and, in effect, putting their eggs in these vehicles. Dr. Green, what's your take on it, and then you as well, Mr. Ciccio?
Well, there clearly is a price advantage now, and I think with the increased supplies of natural gas, the consensus is there will be a price advantage in the future. And I think that will be true whether or not we allow exports of LNG. So I think there will be a price advantage, and I think people have confidence that there will be a price advantage. I think the issues are how convenient, how useful natural gas is in any given particular application. Does that offset the price advantage or not? And I do think that Professor Knittle's study, for example, makes some very good points about the societal benefits of natural gas that are not included in the price, the benefit of reducing oil dependence, the benefits of reducing emissions to a certain degree. So I guess I think the market does see the price advantage of natural gas and does expect that will continue into the future, and will respond to that accordingly. There are additional advantages that are not reflected in the price of natural gas, and in my view, that should be the focus of policy to try and make this clear.
Confidence is an important word. From a manufacturer's perspective, they would answer it, you've got to look at both parts of the equation. You've got to look at supply and you've got to look at demand. And as you have seen in our testimony, we have manufacturers have concerns on both sides of the equation. On one hand, we today have an abundant supply of natural gas, but we see potential headwinds there, including government regulations that could impair this robust economic supply of natural gas. On the demand side, we see some extraordinary demand, unlike the United States has ever seen before. You mentioned exports. For the record, we're not against exports, but the fact is that probably in every boardroom, manufacturers are talking about their concern about what impact 14 export facilities may have. Those, if all of them got approved, and probably they won't, that's a 27% increase in demand. Now let's put that in perspective. We've increased demand from 2000 to 2011 by 4.4%. Manufacturers today are considering investing $65 billion in new facilities in the United States that's mostly petrochemical and steel, that would consume some 3.7 trillion cubic feet of natural gas a day. Huge capital investments. They want to be sure that the supply is there at an affordable price relative to international markets.
We're going to have to do some more work following this up with you. I was just struck reading your testimony on page 1, Mr. Green, and I quote here, "Today's low natural gas prices are not likely to last. More likely, they will rise over time to levels consistent with the world price for LNG adjusted for the cost of liquefaction and transport." So I think the point really is we have got to find that sweet spot where companies really do have a sense of stability in order to get them to make these long-term changes. I know my time is up, Mr. Chairman. I thank you for the questions.